around, forward circle, and I'm going to stop him at 3 o'clock on the left side here. I'm going to drop a plumb. This is probably the oldest technique in the book. I'm going to drop this, again, using the tibial region, and I would like it to fall directly over the pedal axle and the ball of the foot. Now, the complexity of that is that if his tibia is proportionately longer than his femur, numbers aren't going to add up, folks. So you cannot say that the Kopp's method, the pedal spindle, is universally accurate, because it isn't. So what I'll do is I'll try to determine if I think it's a little bit off. And Graham is pretty much average in terms of its bone length. So he's probably going to have a fairly close plumb. But my objective is to get cyclists into a slightly more aggressive forward position. I want the stem. The last thing we look at is the stem. And the stem needs to be, folks, my bike is right over here. You see how high my brake hoods are? There's a reason for that. Because I want to be sitting on the bike like this, with a forward pelvic tilt. I want the brake hoods to be high enough that my palm fits right into that groove, just like that. And this part of my arm, my elbow here, is resting right on the handlebar. So if all that comes together, and I should have brought you some photos, virtually every professional cyclist in the peloton has the brake hoods tilted up like that. And there's a very good reason for it, because that is how you get your most power, and that's how you lay yourself out in a comfortable position so that you can put maximum wattage down on the road. So the most complex part of this fitting equation is the feet. And it takes a little bit of time. Basically what I'm looking for is a deeper foot position than most fitters will do. Let me have the shoe, please. Now the specialized shoe has a valgus alignment built into it, and I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the way it should be built.
Why?
But because it throws the foot to a varus outside the hand.
So if I already have a varus set,
yeah, you're fine on your left. It's your right foot.
So this is actually exacerbating my already varus wedge in my own foot.
Exactly. So, Andy Pruitt talks a pretty good line, and he was able to convince Specialized that they needed to design a shoe after his philosophy. We don't agree with that. We think that's totally wrong. But I'm not going to share my bias with you. I'm going to tell you that my objective is to make you as efficient as possible. And through proper biomechanical positioning, we'll make that happen. So what I'm going to do, in most cases, I'm going to drop the cleat. There are three things we're going to look at with the shoe. The fore-aft, and I would like this for road racing, for time trialing. I want it behind the ball of the foot, not on it, but behind it slightly. For track sprinting, I'm going to probably put it a little further forward. To use automotive parlance, it's basically power versus torque. You can probably get both if you do it judiciously, but what I'm mostly concerned about is maximizing my power. So I'll go full depth, which is exactly the way Graham has his set up.
I just did that, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't used to ride like that.
Yeah,
And my energy and power since I've done that has gone up.
Okay, that
Absolutely.
proves my point.
What did you say? You go what?
I moved my cleat position further back just before the camp, actually, maybe 2 millimeters.
Cleat back, foot forward. What if you want to prove that to yourself? Get on a beach cruiser sometime with no restraint system at all, and watch what your feet do. They go right to the middle of the pedal, because your body is seeking the most power possible. Now, why that concept is difficult for some people to figure out, I'm not sure, but we've come to the conclusion that that's how you increase performance, is you give the person more leverage. Now, the second point I mentioned earlier is linear vectors. So if you align the foot with the hip this way, you have a linear vector. All right, if on the other hand, you do what most bicycles and pedal systems require, is that you have the foot in this way. So what happens is the tracking is already out on the outside. So what that does, that brings the knee in a sort of semicircle out. So you see, it's extremely important to get everything aligned. So what that takes us to is what's known as the Q factor. So what we want here, unfortunately Shimano did not give us very much lateral adjustment, is you want the cleat adjusted to the extreme inside, which brings the foot out. So that's why I like my SMP pedals, because they have almost a centimeter and a half wider cube, which lines my feet up directly with my hips. That one factor increases my power output by about 12 watts. So it's huge. So irrespective of what manufacturers say, biomechanical alignment is far more important. It trumps everything else, including aerodynamics. So you want maximum efficiency. So you go wide on the cube, deep on the set, and then we straighten out any varus or valgus misalignment, giving us a flat foot. Immediately delivers between 12 and I would say 20 watts right there. So feet are extremely important in terms of power output. Now, a lot of you are pedaling like this. You're leading with your heels. Question, all right. When you lead with your heel, you essentially lock out the gastrocnemius and soleus. You don't get full power from your musculature. That's a big problem. So if you're pedaling like this, you're pedaling wrong. Bottom line, you're pedaling wrong. We have found that one factor is worth 5 or 10 watts right there. So lead with the toe, have the saddle high enough that that's a smooth 38 to 45 degree circle.